I've just got my hands on the latest kit from Aqua. It's called the Hatch and Grow set, and this brine shrimp pet product might just be the very best kit for beginners starting out in the hobby. Earlier this year I reviewed the Aqua Volcano kit here on the channel, and that thing had all the bells and whistles, an intricate theme design, a built-in light in the base, and even food that turns your Aqua Dragons red. Well, you can kind of think of the Hatch and Grow kit as being the opposite of that. It stripped everything back to only its most essential parts, giving you a budget-friendly option that still attempts to tick all the boxes. I only received this in the mail this morning, and I haven't really even had a proper look at it yet, so I'm super excited to get it open and set up. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at the packaging. The Hatch and Grow kit comes in a nice compact box, which honestly feels a little fancy considering this set only costs around $14 US. The front has the Aqua Dragons Hatch and Grow logo in the top left corner, with a large photo of the tank front and centre. Over on the right is an illustration of a purple Aqua Dragon in what's a bit of an unusual 3D style, though I guess it does match the aquatic artwork on the rest of the box. Over here on the left is a magnified photo of a male Aqua Dragon, and then a smaller version showing its actual adult size of 1.5 centimeters. Brine shrimp kits have historically been notorious for their bad marketing and misleading depictions of Artemia, so I'm glad to see Aqua Dragons being accurately shown here. Both the left and right hand sides of the box are the same. They give you a small list of the kit's contents and a QR code leading to a YouTube video from the official Aqua Dragons channel that shows you how to set up and care for these pets. Flipping over to the back, and we have some detailed setup instructions, as well as some general tips for looking after your Aqua Dragons. Seeing these photos of young kids using this product is just another sobering reminder that I'm really just a man-child playing with children's toys. Okay, I just noticed that the Aqua Dragons mascot thing has webbed fingers. I don't know how I haven't seen that before. Well, either they're webbed or there's something sticky on his hands. Anyway, let's open this up. So the unboxing process here is about what you'd expect for something in this price bracket. Pretty straightforward. It is nice to see decent packaging on this kit though, which isn't something you usually get with these more budget sets. We'll start off by taking a look at the paperwork. The first is a certificate of adoption, which asks you to print both your name and address, and then to sign a declaration promising to take good care of your pets, which you better do because now they have your address. Next up is an instruction sheet which tells you a bit about the biology of Artemia salina. It shows a nice little life cycle diagram too. There's also some more detailed setup and care instructions, which is the guide that I'll be following for today's video. This kit also comes with two accessory tools. One is a simple 3mm plastic pipette, which actually feels like nice thick plastic, and the other is an orange feeding spoon. I think the design of this spoon is really well done. The creepy brine shrimp on the handle provides some nice texture for grip, and the scoop at the other end looks appropriately sized. Next we have the two packets that come with this kit. The first is the egg pouch, and it contains both the Aqua Dragon eggs and the salts necessary for them to thrive. The other packet in here contains the Aqua Dragon food. I've never used this food on the channel before, so we'll take a closer look at it under the microscope when we get around to feeding them. And lastly we have the Hatch and Grow tank. The design here is obviously super simple, but I think they've pretty much nailed it. The build quality feels solid, and the plastic is crystal clear. With a water volume of only around 300 ml, it's quite small, but this seems to have become a pretty standard size for most brine shrimp pet tanks in this product niche. It's a single mold design, so you don't get any flashy colour, but I quite like the minimalist approach here. I can't stress enough how much I love the flattened out shape of this tank. It's pretty much exactly what I'd do if I were designing this tank for myself. The large walls give you a huge viewing window for watching your pets, and they also have the positive effect of providing plenty of surface area for light to get into the tank and feed beneficial algae. I feel like this design shares similarities with some of those vintage ant farms which are comparable in shape, which I guess makes sense considering this thing is basically an aquatic version of the ant farm. On the inside of the tank we have a mountainous textured substrate. Again, this adds more surface area for algae to grow, while also making the habitat just a bit more interesting to look at. It actually kinda reminds me of those fancy whiskey glasses which have an iceberg shape molded to the inside of them. Hopefully I won't make the mistake of drinking my Aqua Dragons if I get thirsty. The base of the tank slightly flares out to add some stability, Though overall, this tank is still very thin, potentially making it a bit of a tipping hazard. If you're a little clumsy like me, you'll want to take extra care with this one. The tank's lid is again quite simple, just a cap with a hole on top for feeding the aqua dragons and aerating their water. I would prefer if this had a couple notches in the bottom to allow for the easy use of aquarium accessories, but I get the feeling that this kit's designed more so for beginners rather than experienced brine shrimp keepers. All in all, I like what they've done here. For a tank at this price point, you get a lot for your money. Alright, time now for the setup. Now the instruction sheet that comes with this set says not to use distilled water, which is a little odd because I've had good results with it in the past. But alas, I'm going to stick to the recommendation and go for bottled spring water today instead. Next we need to pour in the egg packet. Here's a quick look at its contents under the microscope for any of you who, like me, get a little curious about this stuff. The vast majority of it is of course those essential salts that brine shrimp need to thrive, as well as several of the brown aqua dragon eggs too. Once these are put into water, it usually takes around 24 hours for them to begin hatching under ideal conditions, though it can take a little longer in colder temperatures. The plastic pipette they've included in this kit is a good wee tool for stirring up those salt crystals to help them dissolve. Alright, and that's pretty much it for the setup. Now we just need to find a home to keep this tank for the next couple of months. My recommendation here is to always go with a windowsill that doesn't receive any direct sunlight, so this one should work well. We're at the tail end of summer here right now, so it's not really necessary for me to use any kind of heat source with this tank. But for those of you that are curious, the mini aquarium heaters which a lot of people in this hobby like to use do indeed still fit into this thin tank. I think that during the colder months though, I'd probably just opt for an under tank heat mat instead, mainly just to help maintain the clean minimal aesthetic of this aquarium. The one accessory I will be using with this setup is an air pump. Fortunately this tank's feeding hole on top is big enough to let me feed an air line down into the tank, which is quite handy. People often ask me when they should first start using an air pump, and my advice here is that you don't really need it until your brine shrimp hatch, but I just like to get mine set up straight away so that everything's done. To finish off, I'll put a grow light next to the tank too. This is just to help kickstart algae growth, to get it established in there and supplement the diet of my aqua dragons. As always, all of these accessories are available for order now over on picocosmos.com. Alright, that's all for now. I'll check back in with you guys in a few days to get a look at the babies and the first feeding with the aqua dragon food. Morning guys! It's been almost 2 full days since adding those eggs into the tank, and I've already spotted quite a few baby aqua dragons swimming around, and I can still see a few that are in the process of hatching too. I found that these aqua dragon egg kits seem to come with quite a few eggs, because even though I've only used them a few times, I always get a really high hatch rate. Now, the instruction sheet for this set says that I'm supposed to feed them today, but in my experience, you have to be very careful not to overfeed brine shrimp, especially the babies, so I'm going to wait another day or two before I feed them for the first time. This isn't really a problem because baby aqua dragons are actually born with food already in their digestive tract. This is why they have that yellowy orange colour to them. The food in their stomach will keep them going for a few days, so feeding them right away isn't super important. I'll give you guys another update in a couple of days from now to see how many babies have hatched and to give them their first feeding of the aqua dragon food. Hey guys, how's it going? The aqua dragons in the hatch and grow tank are 4 days old now, so I think it's probably about time to feed them today. You've probably noticed that even more have hatched since the last update, and they've grown a bit larger too. Their tails have started to elongate, and their frontal antennae have enlarged to help them swim more quickly. I'd guess there's probably around 40 in the tank now, but to be honest there are so many that it's kind of difficult to count. They seem happy enough for now though, so I'm not too worried about the high hatch rate. I'm just crossing my fingers that I can keep most of them alive. Now the instructions say to feed these guys 1 level scoop of the aqua dragon food using the feeding spoon. I'm super wary about accidentally overfeeding my brine shrimp though, especially during these first couple of weeks when they're still so small and before the tank has had time to properly cycle. That's why I'm only going to give the babies a fraction of a scoop today. Before I put it into the tank though, let's take a quick peek at the food under the microscope to get a closer look. I can't tell exactly what the ingredients in here are, but you can see that there's both salt and an assortment of green organic material. My guess is that this is likely some form of dried algae powder, but which species, I'm not entirely sure. So my usual approach here is just to do these smaller micro feedings once a week or so, or until I feel that the aqua dragons are large enough to easily clear an entire scoop. I prefer this approach as it reduces the chances of accidentally spoiling the water quality through overfeeding. Alright, that's all for now. Hopefully everything goes smoothly from here on out and I can get this colony to adulthood. I'll update you guys again in a few weeks to see how things have got on and to give you my final tank review. Good morning guys! I haven't shown you this aqua dragon tank for a few weeks now, so I figured it was time to give you another update and finally finish off this video. I think it's been somewhere around a month since I set this tank up, and it's progressed really well. I've mostly been surprised by how many of those early hatchlings actually survived all the way to adulthood. High hatch rates always get me a little nervous because I'm worried about a large die-off from overpopulation, but the Hatch and Grow kit has me pleasantly surprised. There are plenty of adults in the tank now, and the second generation appear to be growing well too. About 2 weeks ago I saw the first signs of algae beginning to establish in the tank, and there's quite a bit of it growing in there now, with it covering almost every surface in a light green film. Now I get a lot of questions from people who are struggling to keep their brine shrimp colonies alive, and the answer to their problems is almost always that they don't have any algae growing in their tank. So this should really be your top priority when troubleshooting any issues that you're having. Sometimes the algae can make viewing your aqua dragons a little difficult though, because it occasionally also grows on the tank walls. So about once a week or so, I like to use a small toothbrush to clear it away, just to make things crystal clear again. It gives the aqua dragon some extra food to eat as well, so I'm sure they also appreciate it. I like to use these cheap dog toothbrushes because they're a little smaller and the heads are angled to make it easier to reach tight spots. Over the last few weeks, the Hatch and Grow kit has actually grown on me even more than I expected. I already liked this kit when I first opened it, but after having hands-on experience and seeing it set up, it's quickly become one of my all-time favourites. The clean minimal aesthetic makes it easy to see everything that's going on in the tank, and it almost feels more like a piece of modern home decor rather than an aqua dragon tank. I've been moving it around the house a little, and it definitely doesn't look out of place as a centerpiece on a coffee table. Of course during the colder months I'll need to use a heat source for this tank, which will tether it in one spot, but for now I'm enjoying the versatility of being able to keep it in different places. The mountainous substrate in the tank has been amazing for algae growth, and it's just really interesting to look at too. I like how it gives the tank the potential for you to personalize it, either to paint the inside to give the base some color, or to place a light underneath to illuminate your tank internally. I do have one concern with this aquarium though, and that's its instability. That clean narrow look comes with the downside of possibly making it easy to tip over. I've taken extra care when moving this thing around, so it hasn't really been a problem for me, but that thought's always in the back of my mind and something to be wary of. I do wish the lid had a notch or two to accommodate a heater cable too, so come winter, I might have to 3D print one to give this kit a little more versatility. Overall though, I think this is an awesome set, and for the price, you really can't get any better. I'd recommend this to anybody starting out in the hobby, or if you're just on a budget. And hey, if you're looking for some home decor that's sure to be a conversation starter, this might just be the perfect product for you. So now I want to hear from you guys. Would you be interested in getting this kit? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.